And it's fascinating times. And who else to help pick through them with me now than the Chairman and Research Fellow at the Bow Group, the one and only Ben Harris-Quinney. Thank you very much, Ben. Great to have you on board. Look, hey, it looks as though Germany might be about to shift to the left. If we're looking to try to increase relations with them now, we sniff an opportunity. Hang on a minute, we're shifting to the right a little bit, aren't we? This is going to be a clash.
Well, first off, I don't think there's much evidence that we're shifting to the right in the UK. But no, I mean, you've got to remember that the German system is offers much less of a cliff edge than the British first past the post system, and the SPD have been in coalition with the CDU CSU for the last 4 or 5 years. In fact, Scholz was the finance minister under Merkel, and in terms of policy differences between the two major parties, there are very little. I think I would describe it as you've got some progressive liberal Europhiles being replaced by some other progressive liberal Europhiles. That's the most likely outcome. So I don't think we'll see a big
comes to mind,
policy shift in Germany. But what we will see is, I think, a shift in figurehead. And Merkel has dominated Europe for 16 years. And that is now going to change. And I think that is going to present an opportunity for, as you have said, figures like Macron to come in and set themselves up as the de facto president of Europe.
So what can we do, if anything, to try to improve our relations with Germany? Do you want us to? Do you see this personally as an opportunity for us to essentially really try to align ourselves, not just with the European Union, frankly, but with a major player in the European Union? What can we practically do in order to do that? Do they even want it, Ben?
Well, look, I think there is a misunderstanding from the European point of view, from the point of view of European nations. They felt that the Brexit vote was a repudiation of Europe rather than the European Union. So I think there is a huge amount of work to do bilaterally between the United Kingdom and every constituent nation of the European Union to improve those relations. But looking at the realpolitik of the situation, the reality of the situation is, whilst the UK government is probably closer, probably more comfortable with people like Merkel and people like Macron, in terms of those people in Europe that share a Eurosceptic view and think that Brexit perhaps wasn't such a crazy idea from the point of view of the United Kingdom, those people lie elsewhere. Those people lie in the Visegrad nations. They lie in other political parties that aren't currently in power in Europe. And I think that is where the UK government can make the most progress. Unfortunately, until now, we've largely taken the position of insulting those countries, insulting those leaders. But I think we have to take a much more realistic and national interest view of global politics and start engaging with countries that want to work with us, rather than countries that fit into this cozy Davos establishment model that whether this government likes it or not, we are no longer in because of Brexit.
It strikes me that there's a very interesting situation taking place now. Angela Merkel shuffles off and Joe Biden's special relationship with her presumably goes with it. Now, Joe Biden does not have, as far as I'm aware anyway, a particular affinity with Olaf Scholz. They may have crossed paths over the years, but they don't go way back, do they? And of course, what's happened recently in terms of our submarine pact with the Australians and the Americans has, well, angered Emmanuel Macron, hasn't it? And has soured his relations with America. Is this actually an opportunity for us to try to rekindle that special relationship now? Joe Biden's big ally on the continent's gone. The guy who wants to take over the continent doesn't like old Joe anymore. So maybe it's time for us to move back in there.
Well, and the partnership with the US and Australia, I think, is some evidence of that. I don't think Joe Biden is the right guy for us. I don't think he's the right guy for America, frankly. But I don't see this being a golden period of US-UK relations. And all indications are that whoever the new German chancellor is, they will look to cement a very close relationship with Biden, and certainly Biden is pro-EU. He is not a fan of Brexit. He wants to see the EU succeed, and I think he sees the EU as the natural partner for the United States, premier partner on the world stage. But nonetheless, there are certain realities about our relationship with the United States in terms of defence partnership, in terms of how close our two economies are. The United States is the largest investor in the UK economy. So the special relationship will endure pretty much any presidency. I think the defence pact. I was actually surprised that the government managed to achieve that, and kudos to them for doing so. On the trade deal, I think we're much further behind, and we're not going to get anywhere near the sort of contact and progress that we would have got under Trump. So I'm not particularly enthused about the future of the special relationship during the Biden presidency, but I think there are other opportunities for the United Kingdom to take that we're not taking.
Yeah, just want to refer to the EU army now, really, which, of course, I think at one point was a dangerous fantasy, now is a dangerous reality, I think, as far as we can see. Of course, the irony, I imagine, for a lot of the German public now is that whoever they voted for, and it was a relatively split vote domestically, in a way, if they do want an ever-increasing federal states of United European Union or whatever they want to call it over there, ultimately that's being led by a pretty failed former defence minister in the shape of Ursula von der Leyen, who they've not had a direct hand in electing themselves. Do you think that this election makes an EU army more or less likely, in your opinion?
Yes, I very much do, and that's something that Scholz has alluded to in the past. Macron has always wanted an EU army, and I think has always seen himself as the presumptive head of it, rather than von der Leyen. And I think the recent defence pact with the UK, US, and Australia has actually enhanced that process. Macron immediately went to meet with Merkel, and that was one of the things that they discussed. And that is the final pillar of the EU federal project. The defence and security pillar is the last pillar, the one they haven't achieved. And I think that the change in government in Germany will accelerate that, but also the reality of the world changing around the EU has made that an inevitability. So my guess would be over the next few years you will see very significant progress on the EU army front, and within the next 5 to 10 years, an EU army will become a fixture on the world stage. I don't think that's a good thing. I think it separates. It leaves a big question mark over NATO, and certainly there are those in the United Kingdom that still think we should be part of an EU army, and that would be a disastrous approach, I think, from the UK. So it will happen. I'm fairly sure of that. I don't think we should be involved in it. And whether it will be a success or not, I think remains to be seen. But what you're seeing in the future of the European Union is a group that includes Macron and probably includes the new German Chancellor that want to accelerate towards federalism, accelerate further towards a super-state, defence centralisation, economic centralisation, and maybe a few countries and blocs like the Visegrad and the Three Seas Initiative that don't see the EU in that way and want to retain their national control. And I think those are the countries the UK needs to engage with.
Ben, thank you very much. As always, Ben Harris-Quinney there, of course, chairman of the Bow Group, imparting his wisdom on the German situation.